since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. I know it will. So I say to my brother, and I say to my sister, help me please. They say they really wanna help me, but somehow I'm back down on my knees. There've been times when I thought I couldn't last for long. Now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and nigh. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine.
Good morning and welcome. I hope you'll join in singing with me this morning. Sun don't set in the morning, sun don't set in the morning, Lord. Sun don't set in the morning, 'cause light shines over the world, yes, light shines over the world. Oh, pray on, keep a praying people, pray on, keep a praying people, pray on. Keep a praying people, light shines over the world, yes, light shines over the world. Sun don't set in the morning, sun don't set in the morning, Lord. Sun don't set in the morning, 'cause light shines over the world, yes, light shines over the world. Oh, pray on, keep a praying people, pray on. Keep a praying people, pray on. Keep a praying people, light shines over the world, yes, light shines over the world. You can't steal, you can't steal, you can't steal my shine, 'cause oh, I shine too bright. Oh, I shine too bright. No, you can't steal my light. Like a thief in the night, oh, you come. Like a thief in the night, oh, you come. No darkness in hell can steal my light. No, you can't steal my shine. You can't steal, you can't steal, you can't steal my shine. 'Cause oh, I shine too bright. Oh, I shine too bright. No, you can't steal my light. Like a star in the sky, oh, I shine. Like a star in the sky, oh, I shine. The darker the night, the brighter the light. No, you can't steal my shine. You can't steal, you can't steal, you can't steal my shine. 'Cause oh, I shine too bright. Oh, I shine too bright. No, you can't steal my light.
Good morning and welcome everyone to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Lisa Borg, serving on your board of directors. We are a congregation in the Free Faith tradition, a community of youth, adults, and children dedicated to pluralism in the spiritual search and ethics grounded in action. Our mission is to grow our souls and serve the world in love. Service participants today include Reverend Sarah Goodman, Amy Peterson-Derrick, Victoria Safford, and Carol Couette, supported by Anna Garris and Aaron Scott. Music today is from Carol Couette, Craig Hansen, and members of the WBUUC Choir, directed by Thaxter Cuneo. Friends, the snow reminds us that winter's on the way. We need each other to get through the months ahead. The best way to find out what's happening here at church, in fact, the only way, is to open the e-news, the email we send you out twice a week. It takes 2 minutes to read through, and there you'll find groups you can join, classes, special services, updates, and more. Please help us keep connected. We really need each other. If you're new to our congregation visiting today, we invite you to join our ministry staff for a brief welcome orientation today, right after the service. You'll see a link in the chat box here a little later. And at 11:15, everyone's invited to join us for Cyber Social Hour. It's a fun way to meet others, see old friends, and share a little conversation in small facilitated groups. We'll put the Zoom link and easy instructions in the chat box. We're glad you're here. Welcome to our church.
Come in. Come into this space which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide nor pretend nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this space where we can heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this space where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this space. Together we make it a holy space. Jenna Borgmeyer will light the chalice.
Back in March, when this pandemic was just beginning, I initially coped with it all by leaning hard into comforting habits like baking and eating lots of desserts and watching hours of Netflix, accompanied by a nightly cocktail. As the stay-at-home orders were put in place, these activities that used to be an occasional treat in my life became a way of simply getting through each day. Eventually, though, the early feelings of comfort gave way to feelings of disgust. One day I was lamenting to my dad how frustrated I was in myself for being so lazy. His response was that sometimes in life we need to give ourselves love, and love comes in many different forms. But he also acknowledged that needs evolve with time and with self-reflection. Escaping reality each night was exactly what my soul needed for those early days, but it might not be what my soul needed for the duration of the pandemic. I have to pause and reflect every so often, and always view myself through a lens of both grace and honesty. He was right. What I had been doing for all these weeks didn't bring me the same joy it had in the beginning, and I was ready for a change. So I decided to establish a new habit of walking 10,000 steps a day, and I began that habit by getting up early and literally putting one foot in front of the other. I began drinking more water, exploring healthier recipes for my family, and I turned off the mindless TV shows and used the extra time to read instead. These new habits have served me well for months, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. However, when the first early snowstorm hit this fall and the impending election and increasing COVID cases caused a swell of heightened anxiety, I found myself once again craving the coziness and warmth of the old habits that I leaned into late last winter. At the same time, I'm really proud of the healthy habits that I formed, and I don't want to give them up. So I'm continuously reflecting on what my soul needs the most to feel loved and comforted in the present moment. I light this chalice today for all of us who may be struggling with how to cope. Maybe find things that comfort us, that inspire us, and that bring us joy. More than anything, may we always give ourselves love and grace.
Join me in our opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please join now in singing I Am Willing.
I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would be so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. There's a hurting in my family. There's a sorrow in my town. There's a panic in the nation. There is wailing the whole world round. May the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing. For to be hopeless would be so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change.
Good morning. This morning's story is called Chaitra and Maitra and can be found in Katha Sagar, Ocean of Stories, Hindu Wisdom for Every Age by Sarah Conover and Abhi Janamanshi. And the telling of the story is adapted here this morning. Before I share the story, I'm just going to invite you into a breath and to hold a couple questions as I share the story. What does the story make you wonder? And what is this story calling you to? Once, not very long ago, a teacher had two very devoted students, Chaitra and Maitra. They could not have been more different from one another. Maitra was quick, ambitious, and impulsive. He tried to be the first to anticipate his teacher's every wish and the first to fulfill it, elbowing Chaitra away from their teacher whenever he could. No matter the words of wisdom the teacher said to him, Maitra, running about, vigilant and determined to be the guru's favorite, seemed to miss the point. Chaitra, for his part, was thoughtful and contemplative in nature, and he never acted impulsively as he took time to consider things. One day, their teacher decided he'd had enough. If words couldn't reach Maitra, perhaps action would. He concocted a lesson that would put Chaitra and Maitra to the test. He gave them each a single coin and took them to two empty rooms. With just one humble coin, said the guru, you must fill your room. Chaitra stood there, his interest piqued, and thought over the challenge. But Maitra took off at a run for the village to see if he could be the first to succeed. Of course, Maitra soon discovered that there wasn't much he could buy with a single coin, but another idea struck him, and feeling so very clever indeed, he sought out a cart full of rubbish to take back with him to his room. The garbage seller, puzzled by the young man's agitation, but delighted to be paid for the trash, agreed and happily drove the cart to their home with Maitra giving directions. Arriving at their destination, they encountered Chaitra, just leaving for the market. He smiled kindly at Maitra, held up his coin, and continued on his way. Maitra guffawed. Too bad for Chaitra. He was much too slow. Delighted with himself, Maitra unloaded the cart and easily filled the room from floor to ceiling with ruined baskets, worn shoes, slimy banana peels, and rotten vegetables. Standing in the doorway, surveying the lot, he swelled up a bit with pride. All this in less than an hour. But he couldn't stand much to stay in the room with the rotting garbage. No doubt the guru would show up soon and praise his accomplishment. So Maitra basked outside in the sunshine and in his self-admiration, knowing that his task was complete. All the time Maitra had been gone, Chaitra had sat in his room and meditated on the challenge. It was a tough challenge indeed. His mind having become quiet, the solution came to him just before Maitra's return. Chaitra walked to the village market where he found an old man selling the three things he sought: a matchbox, an incense stick, and an oil lamp. Unhurried, he returned to his room where he lit the sandalwood incense and then the lamp. A warm glow and a lovely scent filled the whole room. Chaitra then sat down again to meditate. Meanwhile, Maitra's impatience made it impossible for him to be still. He paced about, mumbling and angry. Where was the teacher? If he didn't arrive soon, how would he ever know Maitra had succeeded first? Weren't cleverness and quickness the qualities his teacher sought in students? A few hours later, when the guru finally came back to inspect the room, he turned on his heels without even entering Maitra's room. It was much too smelly to go inside. He shook his head in disbelief, chuckled, and walked over to Chaitra's room instead, Maitra following on his heels. Chaitra's room, softly illuminated, was filled with fragrances of sandalwood and jasmine. The teacher stepped inside and encouraged Maitra to come too. Sitting in contemplation, Chaitra opened his eyes when he heard them. What I offered you both was indeed a challenging task. Maitra, you filled your room quickly and easily, yet you could hardly stand to be in the room of your own creation. Chaitra, after much contemplation in the face of this seemingly impossible challenge, you chose to surround yourself instead with simple beauty. Chaitra said nothing. Maitra cast down his eyes. We must choose carefully, said the Guru. We must take the time to listen to what is in our hearts, no matter how hard the challenges that faces us.
Join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Find a comfortable place for your body. Find your breath in your lungs. Listen to the sounds that surround you. This morning, we may be a little discombobulated. The time has changed and we don't feel quite right. We also can feel the times changing and we don't feel quite right. Breathe a few times. Feel that not quite right. Where does it live in your body? Breathe, listen. Hold your hands out in front of you if you're able. What are you holding in your hands today? Is it your fear, your anger, your grief? Is it your laughter, hope, joy? Acknowledge those things. Hold them close or let them free, whichever feels right. Now hold your hands together. Feel the warmth or the coolness. Feel the texture of your skin. Are you able to give yourself compassion today? Are you able to send love into your own bones? Hold your hands over your heart. Think of the people and the creatures that you love. Hold them close to your heart today while you say their names aloud. We hold them all with love. We are holding all of you with love. Blessed be, and amen.
To sustain our online programming, Sunday services, pastoral care, and our work in the wider world toward justice and equity, your church needs your financial support. Please be generous today. Click on the link or send us a check. We're all in this together.
In times like these, we need to be strong. We need to carry on. We need to get along, hold on, and right what's wrong. In times like these, we need to find a way to make a better day. Keep my feet on the ground, turning round, come what may. Everybody needs someone they can lean on. Everybody needs to lean on someone. Everybody needs someone they can lean on. Everybody needs to lean on someone now. In times like these, there's no one not to care. No, there's no one anywhere who doesn't feel it in their hearts. Gotta make a new start, y'all. In times like these, let the world understand that together, hand in hand, every woman, child, and man, united we stand. Everybody needs someone they can lean on. Everybody needs to lean on someone. Everybody needs something. Everybody needs someone. Everybody has a friend of a friend who knew a friend of a friend who's got a friend of a friend. Everybody needs someone they can lean on. Everybody needs to lean on someone now.
Our first reading is from Naomi Shihab, American poet. It's titled A Palestinian Might Say. What? You don't feel at home in your country almost overnight? All the simple things you cared about maybe you took for granted. You feel insulted, invisible, almost as if you're not there, but you're there. Where before you mingled freely, appreciated people who weren't just like you, divisions grow stronger. That's what chosen and unchosen will do. Just keep your eyes on your house and gardens. Keep your eyes on that tree in bloom. Yes, a wall. Ours came later, but who talks about how sad the land looks, marked by a massive wall? That's not a normal shadow. It's something else looming over your lives. Our second reading is from Marilynne Robinson, American novelist. I love my country with a feeling that is like a love of family. a hope that whoever by accident or choice falls under the definition of family will thrive and will experience even a difficult life as a blessing because their worth is a fact without conditions. A family would take practical steps to ease one another through hard times and to preserve the integrity of home as a special refuge. The honor of a family would consist in a very generous acknowledgement of claims on its loyalty and care. It is often said that America is an idea, namely that human beings are sacred, therefore equal. We are asked to see one another in the light of a singular, inalienable worth that would make a family of us if we let it. The ethic in these words should be the ethic by which we judge ourselves, our social arrangements, and our dealings with the vast family of humankind. It will always find us wanting. The idea is a progressive force, constantly and necessarily exposing our failures and showing us new paths forward. I am loyal to this country in ways that make me a pragmatist. If someone is hungry, feed them. They will be thirsty, so be sure they have good water to drink. If they are in prison, don't abuse, abandon, or exploit them, or assume that they ought to be there. If these problems afflict whole populations, those with influence or authority should repent and do better, as all the prophets tell them. There is so much to be done, more than inevitably limited people can see in a given moment. But the other side of our limitation is the fact that it carries with it a promise that we still might see a new birth of freedom and another one beyond that. Democracy is the great instrument of human advancement. We have no right to fail it.
And now we got a revolution, 'cause we see the face of things to come. Yeah, our Constitution, well, my friend, it's gonna have to bend. I'm here to tell you about destruction and all the evil that will have to end.
It's gonna be alright. Yeah, it's gonna be alright. Yeah, it's gonna be alright. Yeah, it's gonna be alright. what to do. I'm telling you, soon we'll see if we'll be through. Do your thing whenever you can, when you must take a stand. It's gonna be alright. Yeah, it's gonna be alright. Yeah, it's gonna be alright. Yeah, it's gonna be alright.
Someone said to me this summer, when already for several months it was feeling to all of us as if everything was just a bit too much, someone said, I wonder what it would be like to live just for a little while in precedented times. I'm feeling like I'd like to live for once in my life in precedented times, right? And not wake up every single morning, if you were lucky enough finally restlessly to fall asleep at all, to not wake up every single morning to the latest unprecedented apocalypse in our country, which is how we've been living for the past 4 years, glued to our phones, sometimes grimly laughing and shaking our heads in disbelief, but more often weeping, grinding our teeth, pounding our fists, losing composure, losing altitude, sometimes marching till we've worn out our shoes and our voices, burned through all our Black Lives Matter buttons, our #MeToo stickers, trans pride pins, giving them to strangers in the grocery store who timidly asked where they could get one and urgently, absolutely, solemnly promised, yeah, they'd wear it. So you took it off and handed it over, a sacramental transaction as you locked eyes for a moment with an unexpected kindred spirit, a citizen comrade who saved you that day from despair and then vanished into the frozen food aisle like an angel. And yes, it's true. Most of the multiple catastrophes we're facing now were well underway before 2016. The devastations of climate change, the devastations of white supremacy, the devastations of ubiquitous poverty, and the unsustainable cruelties of capitalism run amok. These did not just suddenly appear, sweep over the land when the current administration came to power. If anything, this presidency has exposed in its cynical rampage the clear and present dangers that have threatened our people and all people and the planet so acutely for a long, long time. This presidency has exposed what was already upon us, within us, among us, inside the folds of the fabric woven thread by thread into every star and stripe of our history. But the willingness of our people to allow the volume to be cranked up as it has been, the volume of hate, murderous hatred, the willingness of our people to allow the fragile, bright flicker of democracy to be so undermined in so many ways, disregarded, disrespected, possibly beyond repair. The willingness of our people to allow and encourage the mismanagement of the pandemic, sacrificing hundreds of thousands of lives for the political power and profit of a handful of people. How did they sleep at night? The willingness of our people to support leaders with no capacity for moral leadership who, without chagrin and not missing a step, follow the wobbly goose step of an unstable tyrant. The willingness of our people to support all this, or simply not to notice, not to care, has reached a new level. And obviously not all the people, but enough of them, enough of our neighbors and strangers and relations and friends to make some of us pretty worried right now with 48 hours to go till the election. We're edgy, We're brittle this week, as we've been for 4 years, overcome with a nervous, exhausted, sad, scared anxiety, which is as contagious as a virus and for which there aren't even words anymore. Could we stop for just a moment with these unprecedented times? This week, I prayed. We know there will be no saviors in this race. No matter who wins the election, the work ahead of us is mighty. No rest awaits on the day after. This old order cannot, must not, will not stand. And candidates, they can't take it down. That work happens hand to hand here on the ground where we're living. What we need here is a gut check. What we need now is to know that people, some majority of people, our neighbors, the people in the grocery store, inscrutable behind their masks, other drivers on the highway, the parents of other kids in the parking lot at school, that one walking their dog, that one pumping their gas, that one revving that pickup, that one raking leaves as the snow comes down in the fading fall light of 2020. We need to know the people know what evil looks like now, what evil acts like, what fascism feels like when it starts, not so subtly, to take hold. We need to know they know the damage lies and greed and walls and words and hate and rape and plunder really do, have done, are doing every day to bodies that bleed and to the body politic. We need to know our people will say no, have within them, within us, among us, the will to say no, which is to say, which is to whisper yes, to clench a fist around yes, to hold it safe like a handful of seeds. This week, I prayed on Thursday, oh God, whatever happens on Tuesday and beyond Tuesday, may the hands of those itching for violence be stayed. May the guns of murderous, proud, grown white boys stay silent, stay home, stay away. There's enough sadness already. There's enough dying already. We are ready now for change, to plant our seeds like winter wheat and bring the harvest home. And you know, praying like that is not new. People have prayed like this always in all of our towns and cities. Perhaps you haven't before, perhaps you haven't heard it, but others have, and they and their parents and their grandparents before them, all the way back, have been praying every night that violence not come when angry white people get restless. Not all of this is unprecedented, but for sure it's intensified now, blatant and exposed. I heard Naomi Shihab Nye speak at St. Kate's 2 years ago. And near the end of a beautiful evening, she offered us her poem, as yet at the time unpublished, A Palestinian Might Say. She herself, a Palestinian German-American poet from Texas. On that night, it was still only 2018. We were only halfway into what we're in right now. Naomi said to us, Palestinian might say, what? You don't feel at home in your country almost overnight? All the simple things you cared about, maybe took for granted. You feel insulted, invisible, almost as if you're not there. But you're there. Where before you mingled freely, appreciated people who weren't just like you, divisions grow stronger. That's what chosen and unchosen will do. Just keep your eyes on your houses and gardens. Keep your eyes on that tree in bloom. She's saying here, keep your eyes on what you cherish. Remember what matters and defend it. Keep holding what is holy in the cup of your hands. Warm it with the fire of your outrage and your love. Water it with tears. Her poem goes on with what a person, say, from the West Bank or Gaza might say if they were trying to comfort or to reassure a distraught American like you or like me who find ourselves suddenly living under what feels kind of like an occupation. Yes, a wall. Ours came later, but, and who talks about how sad the land looks marked by a massive wall? That's not a normal shadow. It is something else looming over your lives. That not normal shadow has loomed over us for a long, long time. These are, in fact, precedented times. We like to imagine that it was once unimaginable that our own government would deliberately design a system that people would sit around a table and hash out the particulars of a policy that tears children literally, physically, by hand, tears them from the arms of their parents, then jails the parents pending deportation to places unknown, and then jails the children separately, some of them as young as 5 years old, in metal cages or concrete dormitories. We long to return to a time when such a thing was impossible, but it's always been possible here. We want to believe it was once unthinkable that tear gas and tanks and military weapons would be deployed against inconvenient but peaceful civilians in the streets of their own cities. But honestly, I don't know when that would have been. Maybe you heard this spring, maybe you cried as I did when you heard the families of students killed at Kent State, remembering that day, marking the 50th anniversary. Or we wish we could rewind to some moment in the past when the numbers of Black men in prison were not greater than the numbers graduating high school or going to college or surviving their childhood. When was that time when America was perfect and so great? Precedented times. When land theft would have been unthinkable, snaking pipelines through sacred sovereign territories, or drilling for oil in a fragile national refuge, fracking and mining and poisoning their water forever and ever and ever. When was that ever not how we do it? Or times when the health and well-being and well bodies of everyone, trans and genderqueer and female, as well as the others, were cherished, protected, provided what basic decent care they need to thrive. Times when likely sexual predators weren't president or appointed to the Supreme Court. We have always lived in precedented times. The volume's turned up for sure now, the heat is way hotter, the danger less carefully cloaked, but tyrants are always arising. And here in our country and elsewhere, in every age, everywhere, resistance rises also. Hope rises also. Courage and love and creative nonviolent rebellion also rise up, and they always have. That we've come this far is proof of that. No matter what happens on Tuesday, we are not going back. We are carrying our history forward into what Langston Hughes called the America that yet shall be. We are ready now, we are more than ready, to imagine and envision and embody, to dedicate our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor to shaping truly unprecedented times. We will not be turning back nor slipping under the comfortable coverlets of despair, because for every step backward in these past 4 horrific years, we have also seen people all over the world rising up to say no, which is to say yes. From streets filled with outrage and beauty to quieter, steady subversions, kindness, curiosity, generosity, we are speaking with new fluency and unshakable conviction now, the languages of anti-racism, the languages of trans and genderqueer inclusion, the vocabulary of environmental justice, which includes not only precious land, but the precious human communities most impacted by the desecration. We've learned a lot in 4 years about decentralized power beyond politicians and older voices giving way to younger, smarter activist strategies, even in the Congress. And we've learned a lot about intersected dreaming, how the longing and struggle and hope of one community is the struggle and hope of all the others. No matter what happens on Tuesday and beyond, we are going forward. with renewed solidarity, honesty, outrage, and joy in the struggle. They can steal the election, but they can't steal our shine. They can hack the election. They can suppress voting, intimidate voters, lose and refuse to count ballots, change the rules, change the hours, God knows what, but they can't steal our shine. This tenacity also has precedent. You know, in the Middle Ages, when the plague came to Europe, and village by village, the people believed it was surely the end of the world, and it was for many. Their own world, the known world, was collapsing, stricken, and they had no way of knowing that in other places, maybe several villages down the little road, and certainly on other whole continents, most of the planet, Africa, America, Antarctica, Australia, Asia, all over the world, the sun was still shining. The sky was still blue. Without knowing that, somehow some of them still remembered blue sky. They remembered the sun. They held on to hope without any reason whatsoever to do so. And some of them survived, and some of that hope still survives. Our case now is different. We know that much of our catastrophe is global now and comprehensive, from rising fascist states everywhere to melting polar ice. But still, we don't always understand in the moment the variety and complexity and spontaneity of resistance movements and resilience, flickers of hope, glimmers of beauty, winds of change blowing everywhere, just like the wild wind last night. Imagine the winds of change. We're scared now, rightly so. We're right to be wary, right to be ready, and also to move gently with ourselves and with each other in the coming week and weeks beyond. But to give in to despair would be to disrespect so many all around us and the memory of so many before us, so many thousands gone, who held to life and love, not foolishly, but firmly, fiercely, faithfully, in times at least as troubled as our own. That legacy of ferocious faith lives on. See to it. We can't sit here in 2020 whimpering and wringing our hands without looking back to 1619, which some say marks the true founding of America. 1619, when the first people were kidnapped from West Africa in chains, bound head to foot in the belly of a ship and all through the Middle Passage, the living and the dead together in the dark. And then some of them barely alive, alighting at last, barely able to walk on the green, beautiful shores of a new hell. The world ended then, that year. And it ended and ended and ended again every day for more than 300 years. And that old trouble, it's our trouble still. This is not the time at all to lay the struggle down and say, oh, this is just too much for me. We're only getting started in our hope and our redemption. Someone said to me this summer, Victoria, I'm 21 years old. I've got 70 years at least ahead of me here. I don't have time for your regrets and your despair. I have nowhere to put that. This moment in our history, this is not an end at all. No matter what happens in the days to come, this is a beginning now. Either way, reaching out to us, calling us by our names, daring us to answer, yes, 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 yes. Our theme this month is outrage, the practice of holding what is holy. Many years ago, James Baldwin, the brilliant Black gay expatriate artist and activist, novelist, critic, and prophet, James Baldwin wrote, "To look around the United States today is enough to make prophets and angels weep. This is not the land of the free. It is only very unwillingly and sporadically the home of the brave. Our calling as a prophetic people striving to stay on the side of love, on the side of the angels, is to be in our words, in our actions, in our spirit, and in every gesture we make henceforth more willingly and more consistently brave. You may or may not believe every day, especially lately, that the arc of our history is bending toward justice, toward courage, toward wisdom, toward mercy, toward truth. But we have to act every day as if we believe it, because lives are at stake. Real human lives are at stake, dependent on the hope and the resilience we can muster right now. If you feel yourself falling, gasping for air, slipping into shadow, call someone up to sustain you. Call me up. Call Sarah, call Jack, Amy, or Nico, or Carol, or Thaxter. Call your church. Come on Tuesday night this week to the vigil on Zoom that we're holding to fortify each other. If you don't come, we all won't be fortified. When you see someone else stumbling under the weight, the impossible weight of what we're all bearing now, call them up. Cast a lifeline. Share your shine. This week, no matter what, we go forward together, not one step back, loving our country, which is to say our people, which is to say each other, which is to say our family, however broadly you can define that. Loving our country and each other as if our lives depended on it. From Denise Levertov, a reminder. How could we tire of hope? So much is in bud. How can desire fail? We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy, only begun to envision how it might be to live as siblings with beast and flower, not as oppressors. Surely our river cannot already be hastening into the sea of non-being. Surely it cannot drag in the silt all that is innocent. Not yet, not yet. There is too much broken that must be mended. There's too much hurt we've done to each other that cannot yet be forgiven. We've only begun to know the power that is in us if we would join our solitudes in the communion of struggle. So much is unfolding that must complete its gesture. So much is in bud. We want to invite you now to share with us and with each other just one or two words. We're going to use the chat box and the comments on Facebook just like last week. So take a breath now, the breath of life. And as the music plays, tell us what you're voting for this year. Not who you're voting for, not who you're voting against, but what you're voting for. What you cherish now, what you won't give up if you can help it. What you hope for your country, for all of us. As the music plays, just tell us what you cast your ballot for. May it be so. May it all be so. We invite you to find in the chat box the link to the I am voting for sign and print it out and take a picture of yourself with that sign and send it to us. Maybe we can show those next week. And if you prefer, you can use the Padlet link that's in the chat. These words come from Alberto Rios. We are of a tribe. We plant seeds in the ground and dreams in the sky, hoping that someday the roots of one will meet the outstretched limbs of the other. It has not happened yet. We share the sky, all of us, the whole world. Together we are of a tribe of eyes that look upward, even as we stand on uncertain ground. The earth beneath us moves, quiet and wild, its boundaries shifting, its muscles wavering. The dream of sky is indifferent to all this, impervious to borders, fences, reservations. The sky is our common home, the place we all live. There we are in the world together. The dream of sky requires no passport. Blue sky will not be fenced. Blue sky will not be a crime. Look up. Stay a while. Let your breathing slow. Know that you always have a home here. You have a home in this country. Amen. The hymn is Go Yonder.
Go yonder, and gather the people. Tell all the people that peace is a come. Tell every person their lives are worth fighting for. Tell all the people that peace is a come. Go yonder, and gather the people. Tell all the people that peace is a come. Tell all the nations their weapons aren't needed. Tell all the people that peace is a come. Go yonder, and gather the people. Tell all the people that peace is a come. Tell all the children their hunger is over. Tell all the people that peace is a come. Go yonder, and gather the people. Tell all the people that peace is a come. Tell all the refugees they will find home again. Tell all the people that peace is a come.
May peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage steel our will and love of truth forever guide us. Friends, thank you for joining us. If you're not receiving our email news, please go to our website and sign up. This is the best way and the only way to find out what's going on at church. We know your inbox is flooded with email right now. We promise that the e-news will be brief and crystal clear. On Monday, we send a reading with reflection questions to inspire and anchor your spirit. On Thursday, we send a prayer to center your soul. There's a lot happening this fall. Please help us all keep connected. If you're new or visiting this morning, you'll find a link to a brief welcome orientation here in the chat. And at 11:15, we are all welcome to join. You are all are welcome to join us for a cyber social hour. It's actually just a half an hour of easy conversation in small groups with friends, old and new.
And I also wanted to invite you to join us for our vigil here on Zoom on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. so we can all take a break from the election returns and center our spirits with singing and hope. You'll find the details in tomorrow's e-news, so don't forget to open it and read about how to get involved. And finally, please vote. If you have a paper ballot, don't mail it now. It won't arrive in time and the deadline has changed. So make a plan to drop it off in person tomorrow or Tuesday, or to vote at the polls on Tuesday. Contact us if you need help. Farewell, friends, and stay well from all of us. So be it. See to it. Amen.
You may be rich, you may be poor, you may be young, you may be old. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move. You got to move. You got to move. You gotta move, child. You gotta move. 'Cause when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move. You gotta move. You may be black. You may be white. You may be wrong. You may be right. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move.